So I've seen a lot of people divided on the Venom movie so far amongst critics and fans. And personally for me, being a fan of Venom for many years now, I really want to come at from my perspective and give you guys an honest fan review of this movie and not really come at it from a critic's perspective, but really just come at it from a fan's perspective of this movie. How's it going, Webheads? My name is Ryan Walsh. And if you guys want more fan reviews just like this, definitely consider subscribing down below. I have plenty more coming out for the future of these comic book movies. Of course, before I really get into this review and the positives of the movie, I do have to say this is going to be completely spoiler filled. So do not go any further if you have not seen the Venom movie yet. Now, I have a lot of pros for this movie because I think there was a lot that was done right with the Eddie Brock and Venom character. Mainly, that's the biggest plus I have to give this movie, is that I think that Eddie Brock and Venom's relationship throughout the entire movie was handled extremely well. I was really happy with what they did with those characters because you could hear Venom talking to Eddie Brock the whole time, and I thought that that was all really handled well. I thought all of that really mashed together well, and I was so happy to see that because I'm just like a lot of you guys where I saw all the critic reviews and I saw how badly the movie was rated, but then going into it I was thinking that this movie's going to be utter trash, but I'm glad that they at least got that right because that's probably the biggest thing about this movie that I wanted to come away with. I wanted to like not only Eddie Brock but also Venom. Venom is the big character that we have gotten on screen before, but the thing is that Eddie Brock and that Venom just was done so bad back in Spider-Man 3. So this is something that I personally really wanted to see done right with the character in this movie. And I will say that some of this Venom humor definitely worked as well, where a lot of it I'll talk about in my cons, but I do think that there was a lot of jokes that really hit home, and I think that a lot of people really enjoyed in the audience. When I personally went to go see this movie, there was a lot of people in my audience that laughed out loud because they thought the jokes were so funny. And I was a part of that too because I thought a lot of the jokes were very good in this movie. I'll say as well, most of the CGI was very good and all the action scenes in the movie were very good as well. I thought that we definitely got a lot of action, and Venom killed a lot of people in this movie. The movie may have not been rated R like a lot of people wanted to see, including myself, but you know, PG-13 Venom still is pretty good too. In all honesty, I would say for the first 30 minutes of this movie, I really enjoyed the movie. I was sitting there thinking, what are critics thinking? I think this movie's really good. I think it's super solid. But then, now really transitioning to my cons, there is a point where this movie just falls flat on its face. And this is really where I think that a lot of fans are kind of ignoring, and I think the critics are getting spot on. Now the critics I think are definitely being a little overdramatic about this entire movie, but in perspective, I think fans are being a little ridiculous when they're not really seeing what's wrong with this movie either. I've seen a lot of fans say that this movie was an 8.5, and that's totally fine. There's a lot of people that have different opinions. I'm totally cool with that. But I think there's a lot of people ignoring the problems of this movie as well. And me doing this honest review, I think I really need to acknowledge all of the problems. Now, some of the humor in this movie, I'll tell you right now, is just utter garbage. I absolutely hated some of the humor in this. A lot of it wasn't even intentional on the actors or just the movie's standpoint. They're really trying to have a serious moment, but then it ended up being a joke, and I think a lot of people didn't pick up on that. But like when I was laughing at it, I was like, I think they're trying to be serious right now. I've heard a lot of people say that for criticisms, and man, is it true. It's laughably bad at some points. The movie's trying to be serious and scary, but then all of a sudden it changes, and then over the course of the entire movie, you'll have that problem because it's trying to be funny at some points, it's trying to be serious at other points, and it just doesn't mesh well. It really, like, it changes on a dime in tones, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And I'll say this too, there's a lot of this movie where it's like the first 30 minutes of the movie is just backstory on Eddie Brock and everything that he's done, and I think that's totally cool. That's something that I do want to see. I want to understand Eddie Brock. Why is he doing exactly what he's doing, and get a lot of character development out of him. And I'm gonna say right now, he definitely gets the majority of character development, which I really appreciate. But then Venom gets completely sidelined in this movie. Yeah, he has some pretty good parts, but man, we only got like 10 minutes of Venom in this movie. It's like 90% Eddie Brock and then 10% Venom, which I personally did not like at all. And I'm just gonna say right now, there is a lot of this movie that's just completely spoiled in the trailers. Every single action scene I've already seen in this movie. There was a couple things from the final battle that I didn't get to see, or even the car chase, but most of this movie was shown in the trailers, and that's just something that I hate, and this is something that Sony definitely does time and time again, because we can go back to the Amazing Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man 2 when they were showing the end credit scene in the trailers. They did the same thing for Venom. They showed the end credit scene in the trailers. Why are you giving everything away in the trailers? When I went to go see this movie, I was like, all right, there's gonna be probably like one action sequence that we just didn't get to see in the trailers at all. Nope, you saw everything in the trailers. It was all wasted. And all the cool moments that had Venom really just showing off exactly what we wanted to see, it's all in the trailers. Even the last part of the movie is in the trailers. There's nothing saved, and that's something that's really irritating, because I'm not paying to go see a movie that I've already seen in the trailers. I'm paying to go see something I haven't seen yet. Now, also, a lot of the characters, just the side characters and everything, Eddie Brock's love interest, I don't even remember her name because she's just so irrelevant to the story. I mean, she's a part of it, but she's just there. She's not really doing anything. Now, I've seen a lot of people come to the defense of the girlfriend in this movie, and they say that, oh, well, she had to get the symbiote from point A to point B to get him back to Eddie Brock so they can beat Riot. That's the problem with it. That's all she is there for. She's just there to move the plot forward so they can go to the final battle. That's all she's doing. She's not really adding anything new to the story. And I feel like the characters change their mind on a dime so many times in this movie. Venom wants to go back to his kind, and he wants all the symbiotes to come to Earth and completely kill everybody. But then you find out that Venom, 2 seconds after that conversation he had with Eddie Brock, he's already like, no, I want to stay on Earth and I want to be a hero. And Venom is treated like a hero in this movie, not an anti-hero. Yes, he does kill people, but they're all bad people. And yes, in the comic books, Eddie Brock definitely has that still moral compass, but at the same time, he still kills innocent people. Venom loses control sometimes and kills innocent people. That doesn't happen at all here. Venom is literally just a straight up hero. And even going before that part where Eddie Brock was finding out exactly what's happening when Venom is inside him, that Venom is feeding on Eddie and it literally is killing Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock finds out about this, but then in a couple scenes later, we can see Eddie Brock just willingly going back to the symbiote, and we're just supposed to believe that that's exactly what he wants, and there's really no reason for it. They just didn't explain any of these decisions. They just made them, and you're just supposed to go along with it, and to be honest with you, I think that's just lazy writing. And I have to say this too, where Eddie Brock literally just made the dumbest mistake in the world, where you can see he literally just took his girlfriend's confidential information about her clients, took that information, brought it over to Life Foundation, interviewed Carlton Drake, and completely threw everybody under the bus. And the thing that irritated me the most about that scene, not that it just happened, but there was no explanation for it. You can see that Eddie Brock is a thriving reporter, and you can see that he's doing really well. So why would he risk it all, not even just his career, but his girlfriend's career as well, risk it all on the line just to say a couple things to Carlton Drake and prove nothing, because obviously Carlton Drake has a ton of power. They did not explain that at all. It didn't make any sense. If anything, he's just an idiot for doing that. So right there, starting off the movie, I had a huge problem with it, because I was like, that did not make any sense, and anyone could have told you that you were going to get fired, not only just you, but your girlfriend as well. And the thing was, he acted surprised when he got fired, and that just irritated me, because it was like, that's just not realistic. Now, I just looked at my notes for this, and I just realized how many negatives I have for this movie, and it really is adding up. There's a lot of stuff that really got me irritated about the movie, and really just to go on the next one, it's just Carlton Drake and Riot. Now, Riot was roaming around the entire movie from beginning to end. He's just roaming around different countries, and then he finally finds himself in California, and it took him 6 months to do this. I don't know why it took him 6 months, especially when you can literally just take over any body that you want to. So I didn't think that that made sense, but the only thing was, you only got to see the real Riot, the real symbiote Riot, for the last 5 minutes of the movie, and he blew up so easily, along with Carlton Drake. Carlton Drake was just evil because he was evil, and I get the whole idea of the planet is on the brink of collapse and we need to sacrifice a couple people so that we can get to space. I get his motivation there, but they just didn't really do any more than that. He's just kind of there. He doesn't do much for the movie, and he just is evil because he's evil, and that's really it. I wish they showed a little bit more, but he really just thinks himself superior to everybody else. So you definitely get that. It definitely comes across, but I think they should have done a little bit more to really emphasize that and give him a little bit more backstory on why he thinks that way, instead of just showing it, and we're supposed to believe it. And then the whole final battle was just so rushed. And this is where I see a lot of people comparing this movie to Fantastic Four, the 2015 version, Fan Four Stick. And I have to completely agree with them. The last battle scene was 5 minutes long. Honestly, I wasn't timing the last battle scene, but it was definitely like somewhere around 5 minutes long. Just like Fantastic Four, it felt like it was 2 seconds where I saw 90% of this battle in the trailers, and then they show you a couple more scenes where Eddie Brock gets stabbed. We're supposed to believe he's gonna die. Obviously, he wasn't gonna die. I don't even think anybody was shocked when he got stabbed. They're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. We don't care about the character. And then when the entire spaceship blew up, nobody, like, it happened so fast that I didn't even get to process what happened. And then when Venom sacrificed himself, we're supposed to all be like, no, Venom, but it happens in 2 seconds. That is such a problem. You're supposed to, like, you know, draw it out a little bit. So in 2 seconds, people aren't like, oh, whatever, we know he's going to come back, because there's no way that Sony's going to let him die and not make another sequel to this movie if this movie makes money. And the thing is, I thought it was just really lazy how they did that. I think they could have pulled it off a much better way. In the end credit scene, this is something that I've seen a lot of people talking about, and a lot of critics as well. They were praising the end credit scene when they came out of the first screenings. I saw a lot of tweets of that. But I gotta say, when you already show a lot of the end credit scene in the trailers, that already gets me really uninterested in the end credit scene. I feel like I've already seen it. Sony does this time and time again with their movies. But also, when we look at just Cletus Cassidy, great actor. They got a great actor to play him, but then guess what? Like, he just acts like a total goof too. He's coming up with these horrible, cringeworthy jokes, and it's not even a joke. He was being serious, but I was laughing because I was like, oh my god, this is so bad. He's just like, oh, there'll be carnage when I get out. That was just so bad, man. If they make a second movie, if they honestly make a second movie to this, please just make Carnage right. He's supposed to be a serial killer, not someone making corny jokes in the back or just cringeworthy comments about who he really is and what character is going to be coming next. I feel like this movie came out in the 1990s when they did those corny things, and they don't understand where we are at with comic book movies, where they don't say those corny things. Yes, there's some jokes in these comic book movies, and some of them don't land, but most of the jokes do land, and the thing is, this movie tried way too hard to land way too many jokes. Obviously, there's a lot I definitely did not like about this movie, but before I give my final rating, I do want to give a shout out to the comment of the day, and this is something I'm doing new to my channel as well, so comment down below if you want to be on the next comment of the day in my next video. But the comment of the day comes from the MCU God. Thank you very much for watching and commenting yesterday. I appreciate it. But my final rating for this movie is going to be a 5 out of 10. I didn't think that this was a good movie. I thought it was just okay, and that's all it really was. But of course, Webheads, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the Venom movie. If you guys want more of these honest fan reviews in the future, definitely consider subscribing and turning on the bell notification down below so you get those for every comic book movie coming out. But Webheads, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.